Hello there, everyone, and welcome back to Washington Football's Unfiltered Show, The Beat. I am your host, Chip Brierre, and it was a poor start with a strong finish. It just didn't end in Washington's favor as they end up losing to the New York Giants and falling further into the NFC East standings. But a chance to return to form against the Detroit Lions in the Motor City. That is where we bring in this week's panel that consists of Michael Phillips, editor of the sports section for the Richmond Times-Dispatch, also been covering the Washington football team beat for a number of years. We also have Tori Petrie, who is the team reporter for the Detroit Lions. Appreciate her taking time away from her cat, who just ate dinner before recording with us. We heard the alarm go off, but the next person on our panel needs no introduction. You know him very well, former quarterback Jason Campbell. So panel, we know one thing is certain going into Sunday's game. Alex Smith is going to be the starter, his first NFL start in almost 2 years. The exact number of days, I have it right in front of me, 729 since that gruesome injury against the Houston Texans in 2018. So Jason, you played quarterback for this team. You know the expectations, the pressure from the fan base and from so many media members out there. How do you think Alex Smith is getting ready for this game if you were in his shoes right now?
Well, I think Alex, for him, just to have an opportunity to get a whole week of practice, with the starters, build some chemistry. Both times he had an opportunity to play this year, he has had to come off the sidelines. And, the Rams game is a rainstorm. And then, last week's game against the Giants, he was thrust in there. So, it's a little bit different, being a starter and prepping for the week than it is being a backup. Backup, you may only get 3 plays all week, with the offense. The rest of the time, you're running scout team. So, he's an experienced guy. I think Alex will deliver the ball around to a lot of different receivers. You saw that when he came in the game last week. And I think the younger guys feed off of that. When they know that they're going to have an opportunity to get the ball, I think you'll see them playing a little bit harder and run their routes a little bit faster because they know the ball can come to them. And, Alex coming off the tough loss we came out, he's performing good. Had the late 2 turnovers. So he wants to respond in a good way. So I expect him this week to come out and play really good.
For Alex Smith, who usually doesn't turn the ball over ever, 3 interceptions. That's the first time that's happened to him since he was a member of San Francisco in 2012 against the Giants. So that just goes to show how ironic it is that football plays out like that. But Mike, there was a conversation out there that maybe we start thinking about Dwayne Haskins getting back out there on the field. Ron Rivera snuffed that out right away, saying Alex Smith is the starter. We've seen 3 quarterbacks in Scott Turner's scheme so far offensively. What makes Alex the best fit right now to go out there and lead this offense against the Lions?
Well, the one thing that didn't get injured was his head, and you can see he can make those reads, and he makes them so quickly. When he was dealing at the start of the second half, you could just see he scans the field, he makes the right choice, he gets the ball to the correct receiver, he keeps things moving, and that's so important. The NFL is about chunk plays right now. You got to win 15, 20 yards at a time, and they weren't doing that under Kyle Allen. It was a 3 and 4 yard offense. You do that, you get one holding call. The drive gets derailed, it comes right back. So for Alex Smith to be able to stretch the field a little bit, for him to make those decisions coming out, it's easy to see why he is the best quarterback right now to win this football game.
And he had 325 yards passing. That's the most he's ever put out in a game as a member of the Washington football team. So certainly something to get excited about if you're a fan getting ready for this game against the Lions. And Tori, the Lions secondary, they haven't been great, but they haven't been bad. They struggled of late. Do you think Alex Smith coming in could give them some issues of a different look? Because it's been mobile quarterbacks the start of the season that they have on tape. Now all of a sudden they have to turn around for kind of a pocket passer in Alex Smith.
Yeah, here's the thing. I think the reason why you've seen some passes be caught on this secondary is because the front of that defense has failed to stop the run. They've had 2 games this season where they've given up over 250 yards rushing, and it's hard to stop the pass when your run game's working that well because the play action works every single time. So what this team needs to do in order to have a good day for the secondary is that they need to be able to stop the run first, and that is an area where they have struggled, especially last week where Dalvin Cook had 206 rushing yards.
Yeah, and if it's any consolation, Washington needs to improve their run game, and we'll get to that in a second because Antonio Gibson, after running for 100 yards, he did not do so well. He only put up 55 scrimmage yards. So we move on to the former Washington football team running back, now running back for the Detroit Lions, Adrian Peterson. And Sunday will mark the first time he will have faced the burgundy and gold since being let go by the team in the offseason in favor of all the young running backs that Ron Rivera and Scott Turner had to work with going into this season. So starting with you, Tori, I know you just finished that last segment. How much of an impact can AD have knowing that he's going up against his former team? He's been struggling lately.
Listen, this has been an interesting year for AD. It's kind of the Adrian Peterson revenge tour because he's played every single one of his former teams. He'll cap it off with Washington this weekend. So it's a real interesting position for him to be in. He's spoken very highly of every team that he used to play for, and of course said some of those things about Washington as well. But he did make it clear that he wants to show Washington what they lost when they let him go. He did say that this week. So I think he's going into this game with a little bit of a mindset of, I want to show this team that they shouldn't have cut me. I'm happy where I'm at. I'm, working with an offensive coordinator that I'm very familiar with in Darrell Bevell, but I think he really wants to show what he's got on Sunday. But the thing is that this will always be a running back by committee approach here in Detroit. They don't have a system where they just hand the ball off to one guy and expect him to be the bell cow. And every week it's kind of been a different guy stepping up at running back. So some weeks it's been Adrian Peterson, some weeks it's been DeAndre Swift. We'll see how that plays out on Sunday, but certainly they do need to get a little bit more going in their run game than they have of late.
And the stats speak to that. 350 yards on just over 90 carries this season. And it wasn't too long ago, 2 seasons in fact, that Adrian Peterson ran for over 1,000 yards, was named the best offensive player for the Washington football team that year. Michael, on the other hand, Antonio Gibson was expected to be that number 1 guy going into the Giants game. Then J.D. McKissic comes in, has some instant chemistry with Alex Smith in the passing game. So what do you need to see from the Washington running attack to give you confidence they can turn things around with those 2 guys?
Yeah, a lot of that was just playing from behind in the second half. And I thought, you talk about the defense has been so good all year, but the Giants had 5-minute drives in the second half. It was 7 minutes, 5 minutes, and 4 minutes there. And Alex Smith felt the pressure. He had to score every time he touched the ball in the second half, and he nearly did until those 2 interceptions at the end. But the margin for error was just so slim. They did not have time to try to establish the run game, to try to get Antonio Gibson going. I'm still long-term very bullish on Antonio Gibson. He catches passes well. He gets in space. He's got great moves, but he's a rookie. Very understandable why there would be speed bumps along the way, why this isn't a smooth progression to making him the 100-yard-a-game guy. And so I think that's why you need J.D. McKissic to be there. And Bryce Love, if he can come off IR, which I don't think will be this weekend, obviously, but down the line, you want another guy who can spell him when you need a hot hand and you need a carry.
Still to come, we dive deeper into Washington's matchup against the Detroit Lions in the Motor City with who are we taking in the matchups this Sunday? Keep it locked. You're watching The Beat.
We all know things are different. Keeping you safe is not. At Innova, we ensure the safety of everyone who comes to us with safe locations, safe supplies, safe cleaning, and safe practices. You're safe at Innova. Get the facts at innova.org/safety.
It's 2020. Let's make a splash. Play the DC Lottery's Roaring Cash.
Free healthcare. Hundreds to more than $1,000 per month in disability compensation and tens of thousands for college tuition. These are just some of the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs benefits that may be available to veterans. VA is focused on customer service like never before. Choose VA and see why veterans' trust in VA reached an all-time high. Claim the benefits you've earned at choose.va.gov.
Find adventure at an all-wheel drive Honda SUV, now on clearance. Like the turbocharged all-wheel drive CR-V, the versatile all-wheel drive HR-V, or the adventure-ready Passport and Pilot, both equipped with 3 different driving modes. Take back the driver's seat and find adventure with a rugged Honda SUV on clearance. When it comes to the best value, Honda leaves the others in the dust. See your local Honda dealer and start your adventure today.
Welcome back to The Beat, everyone. I'm your host, Chip Brierre, alongside Tori Petrie, Detroit Lions team reporter, Michael Phillips, editor for the Richmond Times-Dispatch sports section and Washington football team beat reporter, and Jason Campbell, former Washington football team quarterback who had some great games against the NFC East. And now we go into the matchups of interest in this game Sunday against the Detroit Lions. It's who you taking. And we begin with the quarterbacks. And we've already spent the first segment talking at length about Alex Smith. But the other guy's pretty good too, Matthew Stafford. He's got all the stats to prove it. Tori, let's start with you. Who are you taking, Alex Smith or Matthew Stafford?
Listen, first off, I have the utmost respect for Alex Smith and what he's done, especially stepping in there to play after watching someone go down with a leg injury, knowing the injury that he had to go through 2 years prior. Absolute respect for the guy. However, I think I've got to take Matthew Stafford in this one. He had a tough week last week, being out of the building all week because he was on the COVID list. Ended up rejoining the team, was able to play on Sunday, but that's just a tough week to have to go through. He's been back with the team this week. He has been on the injury report with a neck injury, but he's been a full participant through Wednesday and Thursday. So I think he's going to have a big game on Sunday. I'm going Stafford.
Jason, let's go to you. Alex Smith or Matthew Stafford?
I'm gonna have to go with Stafford just because simple fact, his mobility. I think 99% of the people probably would at this standpoint of their careers. Alex is a guy. He's still mentally, he still has it, but physically, we're still waiting to see is he still that guy. But Stafford, man, this guy still can throw the football. I watched the Atlanta game, the great comeback to win that football game, and he's always going to keep his team in it just because of his ability to deliver the ball. And he still has some really good receivers, and Jones, a guy that I played with in Cincinnati, he has some weapons. And those guys, you put the ball anywhere around them. And Washington has given up a deep play, so I take Stafford.
All right, Michael, how about you? Who you taking?
I have learned my lesson. Never bet again. Alex Smith, Will he walk again? He does. Will he play football again? Can he get out on the field? Can he start? Can he play at a high level? I've bet against him every single one of those times. There's no way this guy ever plays football again after watching what he went through. Now he's playing. No way he ever starts again. No, actually, he's still pretty good at this. I'm done betting against the guy, Alex Smith.
Hey, I'm with you, man. Cannot bet against him. He's proven us all wrong, and we love seeing him do it. So that's 2 for Stafford, 1 for Alex Smith. We move on. The running backs. Antonio Gibson or Adrian Peterson. Mike, keep it rolling.
Yeah, come on. One of them's a Hall of Famer. This is tough. I like Gibson long term, but one of them's about to wear that gold jacket in Canton, and he's got motivation this week, too. This one's an easy call.
Tori?
Listen, I'm actually going to switch it up. I'm going to go Antonio Gibson just because the Lions do take that running back by committee approach. I don't think it will necessarily be just Adrian Peterson getting the carries. I think they'll divvy it up a bit. So if we're talking about just one running back, I'm going to go Antonio Gibson, especially because the Lions have struggled to stop the run.
How the turntables. Jason?
I'm going to go with Adrian Peterson. And the reason I'm saying this is because have you ever shook this guy's hand? When you shake his hands, almost like he's breaking bones in it. And this guy, and Washington only had 30-some yards rushing last week. So I'm gonna go with AP just because he circled this game. And when you have a guy to circle this game and you're on turf and he still can run with a lot of power, I know they run by committee, but I think this week he's probably gonna whisper a little bit in the coach's ear about, hey, it would be nice if you add on about 7 more carries for me. And if I get rolling, just keep feeding me.
Okay, we move on to our final Who You Got, and it's the head coaching battle. Jason, we're going to begin with you. Ron Rivera or Matt Patricia?
Oh, man, 2 defensive guys.
Yeah.
And, I think everybody was expecting a lot out of Patricia when he came over from New England. I don't think the defense has played up to the standard that he would like. I'm going to go with Ron Rivera just because the defense is looking good for Washington. That front 7, even though they didn't stop the run last weekend, trying to get this team back in a position to be playing for the playoffs. I know it sounds weird playing for the playoffs at 2-6, but it is happening in the NFC East. So I think I take Ron Rivera in this one.
Man, if we're keeping it 100, this is the kind of game that gets a coach fired if you lose to a 2-6 team in the NFC East. It's been rough for Matt Patricia all season. There's been the rumors. You remember last year, these guys were pretty bad, went down to Carolina, got Ron Rivera fired. A few years ago, the Saints came to town. Washington won. Rob Ryan got fired the next day. If you lose to a bad football team, it's a high-pressure situation. Ron Rivera still coaching with house money in his first year.
Well, just looking at where the Lions are at in their season right now, they They were at 500 2 games ago and looked like they were really making some progress, but they lost those last 2 games and they really, really need to get things back on track this week. I think it is imperative for them, so I'm going at Patricia.
All right, that is who you got in Sunday's matchup between the Washington football team and the Detroit Lions, and we end each show with a prediction. Tori, I'm going to start with you because I know this is going to be a little sketchy since you work for the Detroit team. How about this? How do you feel the flow of the game's going to go? Is it going to be a close game? Is it going to be a widespread gap? Where are you leaning? Let's give you that prediction. Where do you think the flow of this is going to go?
I think it'll still be a close game. I mean, this is a very good Washington front that the Lions are going to have to stop. And, that offensive line has been jumbled up a little bit this season. They've had different guys playing in there. It hasn't been a consistent number of guys that have been on that offensive line. I think they've got a big challenge ahead of them in that Washington front. I think it's going to be a close game. The Lions defense certainly needs to start with stopping the run. That has been their struggle of late. If they can stop the run, I do think that the Lions can come out on top of this one. That really has been their Achilles heel so far this season. The offense definitely wants to get back on track after their day in Minnesota last week. Matthew Stafford, coming back from being on that COVID list, having a full week with his team to practice. He's going to be excited to get back out there, but I do think it'll be a close one, Chip.
All right, we move on to Jason. Now we can get into the predictions for who will win and a score.
Ooh, man. Predictions who will win. I'm going to say it's going to be a 28-24 game.
Okay.
I say Detroit wins if Washington continues to give up the big play early in the game. In the second half, they always find a way to turn it around and hold opponents to pretty much out of the end zone. So Washington wins if their offense doesn't sputter in the first half.
I like Jason's range here. Give me 22-20 Detroit. I got a belief when it comes to these things, when it comes to picking games. Don't overthink it. There's an NFC East team and a team that's not in the NFC East. Sometimes it's just that easy.
Yeah, with the rest of the division the way that it is, it's sound logic, but hopefully Washington can hang on and beat the Detroit Lions. For Tori, we hope your Lions play well. We'll put it that way. But thank you to our panel for being with us this week for The Beat. Tori Petrie, Detroit Lions team reporter, Michael Phillips, sports editor for the Richmond Times-Dispatch, and Jason Campbell, former Washington football team quarterback. We will see you again next week. Until then, enjoy the game on Sunday.
Don't let the comfort fool you. Don't let the attention to detail lead you to believe that a Honda is a delicate machine. You'd be wrong. Underneath every surface that carries a Honda badge, there has always been the capacity to amaze. From the core of everything we have ever built, all the way to the top of where you want to go. Rise to the challenge with the rugged performance of the Honda Pilot, Passport, and Ridgeline.
FanDuel's simple, intuitive app makes it easy to get closer to the game. But to get Dan even closer, we've arranged for him to experience a genuine James Harrison tackle.
Wait, what? Tackle? Can we not do the tackle?
If he doesn't tackle you, he doesn't get paid.
Doesn't get paid? Oh,
FanDuel. Join today and play free all season long.
At Inova, COVID-19 testing of all patients having a procedure or surgery, continuous training of our team members, and thorough cleaning of our facilities are just some of the many ways we work to keep you safe. You're safe at Inova.